Good evening. This is a video on adding and subtracting fractions, and this should be on page 21 of your notebook. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit.
Mr. Winsler, please call the front office. Mr. Winsler, please call the front office.
Alright, to add or subtract the numerator, which is the top number, what you do is when we're adding and subtracting fractions, you're going to add or subtract the top number, and you're going to leave the denominator, the bottom number, the same. And then simplify if you can. So let's look here. Always make sure that your denominator is the same first before you can actually move on, which these two will be the same. So I have 2/6 and I have 3/6, so I have 5/6 total, and that's your answer. And I can't simplify it, so I know that I'm finished. 13/28 take away 6/28 gives me 7/28. And most of us would box that, but we can't because we need to simplify. 7 can actually be taken out of both. So I'm going to divide by 7, so simplify. 7 divided by 7 gives me 1. 28 divided by 7 gives me 4. So our final simplified answer is 1/4. Alright, now what if you are adding or subtracting mixed numbers with like denominators? You still add or subtract your numerators, and then you'll add or subtract your whole numbers, and then simplify if you can. Please note that improper fractions are not simplified, but are acceptable, because remember, with gridding in on our grid in responses, improper fractions are actually the better answer to grid in. Alright, so let's look here. So I've got 3/7 and 2/7, so that gives me 5/7. I've got 2 wholes and 3 wholes, that gives me 5 wholes. I don't need to change this fraction because it is proper, and then there's my mixed number, so 5 and 5/7 is my final answer for that. Here, again, my common denominator is 8, so I can go ahead and subtract away. I don't have to find a common denominator. 7 minus 3, so 7/8, take away 3/8 gives me 4/8, and I don't have to borrow anything, so I'm just going to bring that over. And then 15, take away 3, gives me 12. So 12 and 4/8, we cannot box that because it's not simplified, because 4/8 can actually be simplified. We could divide both numerator and denominator by 4 to give me 12 and 1/2. So 12 and 1/2 is our final answer for that one. Now, what if we're adding and subtracting with unlike denominators? So here's our steps. Find your least common denominator, your LCD, which is using your LCM rules from Unit 2. Make equivalent fractions, mixed numbers using your LCD. Add or subtract. Borrow if needed. I don't think any of the ones that we're going to do today are going to require borrowing, but we can borrow if needed, and then simplify when you can. So looking here, we've got 3/4 and we've got 1/3. We can't put those together because they're not of like denominators, so they're not split into the same amount of pieces. So what we're going to do is find a common denominator. 4 and 3 can both go into 12. They could both go into 24. They could both go into 36. But we want to choose our smallest denominator. That way we don't have to worry about bigger numbers, and then we don't have to worry about simplifying as much later. So if I change them both to be at a 12, well, 4 times what gives me 12? 3. So in order to keep this an equivalent fraction, I have to multiply the numerator by 3, so that gives me 9/12. And then to get from a denominator of 3 to a denominator of 12, I have to multiply by 4. So multiply both by 4, so then I get 4/12. This problem right here, 3/4 plus 1/3, is going to give the same value as 9/12 plus 4/12. We just now are able to actually put them together. So 9 plus 4 gives me 13. 13 out of 12. I'm actually okay with 13 out of 12. That's an okay answer. Or the better simplified answer for a fraction when not gridding in would be a mixed number, so that would give me 1 and 1/12. This would be good for gridding n. This would be good for an open-ended question. All right, subtraction, same deal. You want to find a common denominator. So 5 and 3 both have a 15 in common. So I'm going to change this to 15. Change this one to 15. So 5 times what gives me 15? Times 3. So times 3. That gives me 12. 3 times what gives me 15? 3 times 5. So 1 times 5 to keep, again, that fraction equivalent. So it gives me 5/15. Well, 12, take away 5 is 7. And then 7 over 15 can't be reduced, so I can just box my answer. All right, moving over to the inside. We've got some more examples. Oh, excuse me. So now we've got some mixed numbers with unlike denominators. 9 and 3 both have a common denominator of 9, or 18, or 27. Sorry about that.
Just a reminder, PBIS meeting is in the pill this afternoon. We're starting now. Thank you.
Okay. So common denominator would be 9, so I'm going to keep this mixed number the same, but I'm going to change this mixed number around a little bit. So 1 and, well, if I need to make this a 9, I'm going to multiply by 3, so multiply by 3, so 3/9. Now I can add those together. Excuse me. So I get 3 and 10/9. Well, I know 3 and 10/9 that's not proper because my numerator is still bigger, so I'm actually going to take 9/9 out and add that to the whole number. So now I actually have 4 and 1/9. Because again, there was a 9/9 in there, so I took that out and made it a whole number. So now it's 4 and 1/9. Alright, another example, now subtracting. We've got 8 and 3. A common denominator is 24. So let's go ahead and change those. To get from a denominator of 8 to a denominator of 24, I'm going to multiply by 3. So 5 times 3 gives me 15. And then to get from a denominator of 3 to a denominator of 24, multiply by 8. So 1 times 8 gives me 8. And then I'm going to just subtract. Here, I would subtract the fractions first. And then if you need to borrow, we'll borrow. In this case, we're not going to. 15 take away 8. Gives me 7 out of 24, and 7 take away 3 gives me 4. Can I reduce 7 out of 24? I can't, so then this will just be our final simplified answer. Okay. Alright, so go ahead and try a few of these. So do these problems here on your own. I'm going to move over here just to help you out with this side because you do need to complete 1 through 9 here. So go ahead and do those as well. I'm going to help you with this section right here with evaluating. So they're saying evaluate the expression when x equals 7 5/6, y equals 5 2/5, and z equals 3 1/3. So all you're doing is you're taking the value they told you that they are worth and you're substituting it in for the variable. So y is 5 2/5. Plus x is 7 5/6. And then look, now you have an expression that you know how to simplify. And it's very similar to this problem over here. Same for b. We're just going to input what they gave us for x. We're going to input what they gave us for z. And then we're going to show the subtraction. So 7 5/6. Subtract z, which is 3 1/3, and then just find that common denominator and then subtract as normal. And then c, same idea, we're going to substitute 5 2/5 in for y. We're going to substitute 3 1/3 in for x, or sorry, for z, and then we're going to add 7 5/6 for x. order of operations, say addition and subtraction are the same strength, so we're just going to go left to right. So then just do that as normal. So I would do this. These two numbers here, I would subtract them first, find their difference, and then take that difference and then add it to the 7 and 5, 6. Again, finding that common denominator so that you actually can add and subtract. Okay. And then down here, replace each box with a less than, greater than, or equal to sign. So what you're going to have to do, I'll go ahead and do the first one with you. Find a common denominator with 8 and 10, which would be 40. Now you could have done 80, and that's fine, but I did the least common denominator, which was 40. So 8 times 5 gives me 40, so 3 times 5 gives me 15. 10 times 4 gives me 40, so 4 times 9 gives me 36. I'm going to add those two together, so that's 51/40. And I'm going to change it to a mixed number since this one's a mixed number. And looky there, it looks like they are actually equivalent to one another. Okay, and then you'll just do the same thing for B, and then do the same thing for C. All right, well, good luck. And if you have any questions, please comment on the video below or just ask in class tomorrow. All right, have a great night.